Hello, you beautiful nerds. I hope you have all had a great week. This week's video is something a little bit different, something I haven't covered on the channel before, Miles Morales. Specifically, Miles Morales being a great character, even though he is considered by many to be just a race-swapped Spider-Man. Now, the problem lies with the fact that race swapping is a genuine trope that occurs on the big screen to get more attention. Hey, look how inclusive we are. We swapped a white character to be black instead of making a good black character to begin with. Most of the time though, this is inclusivity for the sake of inclusivity. The problem with this is that it ranks in easy points of progressiveness without them having to put in any effort into the character. Princess and the Frog is one of my favorite Disney princess films. It has a captivating story and characters, but remember what else Princess and the Frog has? Almost the entire list of characters are people of color. Princess and the Frog doesn't wave it in your face that it has a black protagonist. The character being black serves the story and the setting of the film. But at the same time, it doesn't detract from it or make it a novelty or tokenize the character in any way. And no one is calling people racist for not liking the film. It's a Disney princess movie with a female protagonist and an instant classic. Now, with setup out of the way, I want to talk about Miles, everybody's favorite Spider-Man. Fucking hell, why did it take people this long after so many iterations of the character to fully appreciate Miles and realize that he is a great character that is withdrawn from Peter Parker? Miles is definitely not Peter Parker, but black, like some people would have you believe. While preparing for this video, I've made myself an uncertified Miles Morales expert. The character was created by comic writing legend Brian Michael Bendis. He was inspired to create the character by Donald Glover himself, who showed an interest in playing Spider-Man at the time in The Amazing Spider-Man. This role eventually went to Andrew Garfield, as we all know.
Real different, you know, make it kind of like dark and edgy like the Dark Knight and put it in modern day times and stuff. And maybe, you know, Spider-Man, maybe he doesn't have to be white. Maybe he can be black or Hispanic or something like that. And then somebody put a big picture of me in the comments. It was like, Donald Glover can play Spider-Man. He's nerdy. And I was like, okay. And somebody sent that to me, so I was like, oh yeah, I'll put that up. So I put it up on my Twitter, and I was like, oh, Donald for Spider-Man, let's do this. You know, kind of joke, but also like, who doesn't want to be Spider-Man? That'd be cool.
Now, obviously, Bendis received a lot of backlash from the creation of Miles Morales as a character. He has recently opened up about this. It's genuinely scary to put out something in the world that's brand new, Bendis says. The extra added fear with Miles was that we were trying to be additive to Spider-Man. No one was asking for that. No one was going, I wish Spider-Man was just a little bit different. I wish Spider-Man was just a little bit something else. So changing something so drastic in the franchise is daunting. But we really believed in what we were doing. Anyone could wear the mask. This goes back to Stan Lee's ideology, the creator of Spider-Man, by the way, that anyone could be Spider-Man. Now, we all know that there was one thing that made Miles Morales mainstream and beloved by everybody. Into the Spider-Verse, the Miles Morales game by Insomniac, right? I think both of these properties tell great Miles Morales stories, and yes, Spider-Verse did indeed do a better job at the whole thing, but it is important to take into consideration for Miles' mainstreamity? Is that a word? Mainstream likeness? Miles doesn't just copy all the powers that Peter has. He gets two new main abilities that come into play into making him be his own superhero. Invisibility and Venom in terms of bioelectricity, not to be confused with the symbiote Venom or the poison Bane pumps into his veins, also called Venom. Comics are confusing. A relatively recent aspect of the character, which I'm pretty sure was brought forth by Spider-Verse, is that Miles is often depicted wearing normal clothes, mainly hoodies over his Spider-Man costume, and a nice pair of, sometimes off-brand, Jordans to go along with the style. I do love this aesthetic distinction a lot. Peter is very rarely depicted wearing normal person clothing on top of his costume, but Miles has it a lot. I also personally think that Miles' costume design is top-notch. You can tell it's still Spider-Man, but you can tell that it is not Peter Spider-Man. The black and red coincide so well together. I love the costumes. Miles, while being smart himself, isn't nearly as smart as Peter is, given of course that canonically, at least in the 616, Peter is one of the smartest people on the planet, and Miles is a lot more empathetic in some interpretations of the character compared to Peter. Do you see what I'm trying to get at here? Miles is just as a worthy Spider-Man as Peter ever was, as Miles fully understands the responsibility that he is now burdened with. An analysis. As I have mentioned before, Miles Morales, in most interpretations of the character, is a more compassionate person than Peter is. Not to say that Peter is not compassionate, but Miles does it better. We see examples of this at the beginning of the game in Spaldleman? At the beginning of the game in Spider-Man Miles Morales, as well as the depiction of Miles in Into the Spider-Verse. Miles is a different character, his own character that falls very separate from Peter Parker. But on the surface, Miles is a cheap copy of Peter, an underwhelming sidekick character. Spoilers for Across the Spider-Verse. Click away now. Nah. The film confirms that our Miles Morales was not supposed to become Spider-Man in his universe. We see that he isn't allowed into the Spider Society because he is a reject, a web slinger that isn't supposed to exist. You may think that this is commentative subtext, and you would be correct. But my, if this isn't the most obvious case of such, I don't know what is. We know that Miles is looked down upon and considered to be a lesser Spider-Man, as by the general comic reader. We know this. I was that guy. That was me. I was the guy that disregarded Miles in every aspect. Anyway, as the subtext expert, I would like to deem this a certified slap in the face to the audience. A good slap in the face at that, but we are still being slapped. Now, all of this is important when you put it into perspective that Miles is an African Latino American boy. He isn't Black Peter Parker. He isn't just Black Spider-Man, he is his own character that deserves way more credit than he receives, as I think he is one of the best Spider-Man related characters to ever exist, and be put to screen especially. It's important to have characters that are non-white be given proper character development and treatment, because if a character is well written, it does not matter what their race is, only that the respective minority being represented receives proper characters, not just stereotypes and tokenization of characters. Miles Morales isn't black because the writers thought it would tick off a box. Him being from a minority background plays hugely into being Spider-Man, as a friendly neighborhood should always be someone that you could bump into on your way to the corner shop, not someone who is untouchable and is immune to criticism. Now, I would like to thank you for watching this brief analysis into Miles Morales' Spider-Man. I know this is very different to what I usually do, as I almost always cover horror, but this topic has been on my mind ever since the Miles Morales game has come out, which was like 3 years ago now. Jesus. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I know this was quite brief. I had to do a lot of research for this, so that I know this is only like a 10-minute video, but there is a lot of effort put into this. So please, if you like the video, then like the video. If you don't like it, you can just hit the button anyway. Subscribe if you're not already, because most of you are not subscribed. Please press the fucking subscribe button. Alright, thank you everybody for watching. I enjoyed making this video. I will hope to make more of these soon. If you like the video, let me know if you want me to cover more comic book characters, because there is so much that I can do. But next week we're probably going to go back to it being horror. And one last thing. Go